Hello, everyone. I'm Eric D'Souza, and you are joining me today for another episode of Crime Writers Canada's podcast, where we discuss crime fiction from authors from coast to coast. Joining me today is a Calgary author, Linda Sanche. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Hi, Eric. Nice. How are you?
I'm good too. I know you're from, or you lived in Vancouver for a while. Glad you're not here
Hmm.
today because it's pouring.
Oh, is it? Oh, blue
Yes.
sky and sunny here. So,
You're lucky. So, a little bit about you. You've been nominated for the best short story for your short story. The Electrician was published this past November in the Sisters in Crimes Canada West Anthology Crime Wave 3 Dangerous Games. She's seeking a home for her debut mystery thriller, Off the Mark, and plotting out the sequel. As a former producer, writer, and director of factual series television, Linda's credits include 3 seasons as the senior story producer on the true crime story Murder She Solved on the W Network, OWN, and True Crime Network. After her TV career, Linda retrained as a crime analyst, but soon concluded that she was better suited to writing about crime than trying to solve it. Linda lived in Vancouver for many years, but now resides in her hometown of Calgary with her husband, daughter, dog, and 2 cats. So let's start with the writing. You started by writing true crime for television. Is it
Mhm.
similar or completely different than writing crime fiction for the page?
um, it's similar in some ways. I mean, the plotting is and finding the twists and turns in a true crime case, and sort of the writing in and out of commercial break is sort of similar to writing chapters. And different in a lot of ways, though. I found when I switched to writing my book and then the short story, um, I had to learn how to write description or visuals, because when you're writing in television, the visuals are there. You don't have to describe them. And so that was my big thing I had to work on when I started writing for the page.
Well, the electrician definitely has a very strong sense of place. Like maybe
Mhm.
that I'm in Vancouver and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
I felt planted into the story. I find a few times when I've spoken to people who primarily are previously worked in film, when they're writing, they're visually seeing everything that they're writing. Almost like
Mhm.
they're like, oh, I'm going to make it very easy for the screenplay writer to switch
Yeah.
this into a movie. Do you think that way too?
Yeah, that's true. The sort of the first thing that came to me with the short story was the visuals of the cranberry fields and the harvest in Richmond there. And so yeah, I just kind of visualized it in my head and wrote you know, my first sentence about the cranberry harvest, and it sort of started from that image.
Um, I am always curious when it comes to a short story that's in an anthology, what
Hmm.
comes first? Did was this story written and it was, ooh, that'll fit into Dangerous Games, or was it like, hey, that's a great idea. I should write a short story. I've never done it before, apparently. I should try and give it a shot.
It was partially written. It was a class assignment. I have taken quite a few courses through the Alexandria Writer Center, which is a great writing organization here in Calgary. And I was taking it's like a week-long intensive on um, uh, what was it called? Residence and defamiliarization. And so we had to write 2 pages of a story. And then we had it critiqued by the instructor in the class. So that's the first 2 pages I wrote in class. And then the call out, and then I didn't quite know where it was going to go. And then the call out came for the Sisters in Crime anthology, and it was called Dangerous Games. And I thought, oh, okay, I could shape this for that anthology. So that's the rest of it was written with that anthology in mind.
Oh, so I was curious about then your character Mia,
Yes.
because there's a little bit of her that seems naive and a
Yeah.
very much chunk of her that seems clever. And because it's a short story, we don't get to learn Mia much anymore. But maybe this is because you have to slide it into the theme, because she says she's asked like why she's into this criminal life, and it was she was kids playing games.
Mhm.
So is that written in to fit the story?
Yes, it was. Yes. I mean, I visualized her as sort of caught in this lifestyle. She had started out with her and her friends, like they were tree planters, and they started growing pot on crown land as just to supply themselves and their friends. And then it kind of morphed into this criminal organization. So she kind of got caught up from the very beginning, and it was, yeah, it was games at first, and then no, she couldn't leave.
Um, Another thing I enjoyed, well, I bought into Mia very fast. I don't know why. I just liked her. So something you did made me like her. But um, the pace of your story is
Mhm.
not something you typically see in a short story. Um,
Mhm.
was that intentional just to keep it moving fast? Because it's a lot faster than the average short story.
I don't know. I haven't written that many short stories before, so I just I like thrillers and I like a quick pace. And I guess maybe that's from my television background, keeping the pace of the story going. And so I guess that's where it came from.
Considering your television background, was
Mhm.
it? It would have seemed like an easier, I don't know, transition or choice for you to go into true crime, which is super popular. Was there a
Yes.
reason why you wanted to go fiction,
Yes.
higher-handed fiction?
Definitely. I struggle with true crime. I really enjoyed working on that series. It was the 3 seasons. They were 8 1-hour episodes, and so we looked in depth at one specific case, and it featured female homicide investigators or crime analysts that had to have, because it was for Oprah Network and W Network, it had to focus on a woman. And so it was super interesting talking to all these investigators. And we always found cases that it was really important for us to make sure that the victims' families were on board. So we got their permission to do the stories as well. Um, and the show was really successful, and it's still running like years later on True Crime Network in the States. And I think that's probably where um, I don't know, there were a couple families that were like, we got involved because we wanted to support the investigators that help solve the case, but the show aired over and over again, and so um, they kind of were concerned about the show kept getting aired, and people would say, "Oh, I saw all this on TV." So I don't know. I guess I wanted to move away from true crime and just make up stories.
It seems much safer then, I
Yes,
guess.
yes.
Well, let's talk about the other story that you wrote. I Know Nothing More Than Off the Mark is the title of your first novel.
Yes.
Um, let's pretend I was an agent. What would you
Okay.
tell me about that?
Goodness.
Putting you
Um,
on the spot, I'm sorry.
yeah. My novel Off the Mark is set in um, Edmonton and Fort McMurray and Northern Ireland as well. And the main character, Kate, she's a crime analyst, and her husband, estranged husband, is murdered. His body's found in a ditch, snow-covered ditch, and her troubled brother becomes the prime suspect. But she's convinced he's innocent, but she fails to sway the police of that, so she launches her own rogue investigation to try to figure out what's going on.
Oh, so
Mhm.
crime analyst. So you got to use your schooling at
Yeah,
least.
I got to use my schooling. I didn't work in the field, but yes, I got to use it as a character.
So does it read out like a police procedural, or is it more of like a hard boiled?
It's definitely police procedural elements. It's a bit of a thriller as well. But it's from two POVs, so it's Kate's character. And then also this Eric, the other
No.
character's name is Eric with a K too. And he's a police investigator. And he happens to be her ex-lover, actually. Um,
Oh,
and
the
yes,
intrigue.
so kind of complicates matters. But so his side of things kind of deals with the police investigation side, and then she does the other searching.
Oh, it sounds like a book I would want to read.
Thank you.
I'm a little sad you didn't mention Mia's name then, though. I again, Mia and George, two characters I just loved reading about. Is she gonna
Yeah.
ever find her way into your stories?
She is, yes.
Oh,
I've
good.
written about her and George in the sequel to my novel. So you find out a little bit about more about her story and her friendship with George. I think that was a big part of the short story that I really liked and wanted to explore is the sort of the unexpected friendship between her and this character George, who's kind of he was in the Iraq War. He's American. He fled up to Canada and quite a bit older than her, and they're like he's kind of like a father figure to her. So I kind of explore that a bit more in the my sequel to my Off the Mark.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear that. You made a very happy podcaster. Um, what was it like working for or putting this anthology together? Like, this is new for you, right? Like
It is,
going into the
yes.
stories, and this is, as you mentioned, part of Sisters in Crime West's anthology. I actually
Mhm.
spoke to two people who were putting it together, Marcel Dubé and Elizabeth Bass,
Oh,
and they both pointed out your story. So
oh,
kudos to you.
nice.
What was the experience like for you being part of this anthology?
It was fabulous, especially as a newer writer, and they yeah were really supportive, and I got to work with Liz Bass. She edited my story, so we communicated back and forth, and she gave some really great feedback to help me polish it and make it work for the anthology. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and I'm hoping the Sisters in Crime is coming out with a new anthology um, next fall, and so they're going to be looking for writers for that as well. So I'm hoping to submit again for another short story. I think the theme this time, each one has a different theme. So
Mhm.
the new theme I think is called Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home, nice.
Yes.
Good for them for putting the anthologies together. You know,
Hmm.
personally, I've done one anthology
Yes.
and it's a lot of work, and I'm like, never again.
I can imagine, right?
Well, let me say good luck to you.
Thank you.
I can honestly say I don't know who's won in your category. I believe four out of the five people, though, are all members of Crime Writers Canada. So I'm rooting for all of you. I love that short stories find homes in
Yes.
anthologies or magazines. Originally, I would have said I don't really like reading short stories, but they've won me over in the last few years. So
Yes.
I'm glad you, I
Good.
hope you occasionally visit them again too.
I will.
All
Definitely.
right. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Eric. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.